NFL Week 18 is just a few days away, and on today's episode of Dolphins Today by Chat Sports, we're going to break down the latest news and how the news surrounding this final game of the regular season for Miami is actually great if you are someone who wants the Dolphins to win and have a chance to make the NFL postseason. I am Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. But before we dive into today's news, make sure you're subscribed and make sure you have your notifications turned on. We've gained a lot of subscribers over the last 2 weeks. Appreciate all the new ones who have joined the channel. But make sure you have your notifications turned on because we're dropping content every day. You'll get notified when we drop a video and when we go live, which will be live again this Sunday for the game against the New York Jets. Make sure you click turn on to all, not just personalized, so you get updated every single time we drop a video. Make sure you get those notifications turned on. All right, the first thing we're going to talk about today is Jaylen Waddle. He is allegedly moving well at Dolphins practice. Couple beat reporters for Miami noted how well he was moving, obviously recovering from a knee injury that he suffered in Week 15 against the Houston Texans, has missed the last 2 games against San Francisco and Cleveland. Waddle, unfortunately, not going to reach that 1,000-yard mark that he hit the first 3 seasons of his career, but he still is good to probably go this upcoming Sunday against the New York Jets, which is very good because he's obviously one of the most dynamic wide receivers in all of football, someone that just blazes by you with his elite speed and first step. And when you have both him and Tyreek Hill out there, it's incredibly hard to guard these wide receivers, no matter who the quarterback is, because of the speed that they will threaten you with. And with how well Malik Washington has played over the past couple of weeks, having around 40 yards in each of the last 2 games as he's gotten an increased role with Waddle out, I'm excited to see what these 3 can do as a complete wide receiver core. There's a decent chance that Miami really doesn't add anyone to this group going into next season. Sure, they'll probably add some depth at wide receiver, but there is a legit chance Hill, Waddle, and Malik Washington are your top 3 wide receivers for the 2025 season. So I'm excited to see how they can perform here because we've seen Malik Washington play pretty well over the past couple of weeks. All right, next on the docket here, Tua Tagovailoa, is he potentially returning for the Miami Dolphins sooner rather than later? Well, the offensive coordinator, Frank Smith, was asked about Tua's rehab and how it is going with that hip injury, and he gave a little good answer, if you will, and when he was asked and how his rehab is going and where things stand with Tyler Huntley, Frank Smith said Tua is being aggressive with rehab and approach to getting ready to play, but we're making sure to put everyone in the best position possible. So many people might be wondering, well, does that aggressive rehab that Tua Tagovailoa is allegedly doing, according to Frank Smith, mean that he is going to play this week against the New York Jets, even though it was already said by Mike McDaniel that they're preparing Tyler Huntley to start? I think it's not the case, actually. I think it's pretty certain that Tua is not going to play this week. I would be betting that Tyler Huntley is that starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins for the 2nd straight week and the 5th time this year. But I do think with these comments that Frank Smith made about how aggressive and how attacking he is in this rehab process, that if Miami beats the Jets this week and then the Broncos lose to the Chiefs and the Miami Dolphins are the 7th seed traveling to Buffalo for the first round of the playoffs, I believe that Tua Tagovailoa would actually be able to play in that game. Maybe it's the optimist in me, but I believe that Tua might be ready next Sunday if the Dolphins are still playing football. But Tyler Huntley is going to be the starter this week in all likelihood. What is your confidence level in Snoop getting the start for the 2nd straight week? Played really well against the Browns last week. What is your confidence level in this week, scale at 1 to 10? I'm feeling pretty high. I'm going with a 7.8. It's not like I feel like it's a guarantee or anything like that, but I do believe that the Miami Dolphins are going to be able to get a win this week against the New York Jets, finish the year 9-8, make it 3 straight winning seasons for Mike McDaniel as the Dolphins head coach. And you can say it's because of the Dolphins, but you can also say it is because of the New York Jets being so bad. And a report out of today's practice for the New York Jets, 5 key players not at practice for New York today. Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, I would argue the 2 best defensive players on the New York Jets at corner and on the interior defensive line. Tyler Conklin, the tight end, and then 2 offensive linemen in Moses and Alijah Vera-Tucker. Now, this is not meaning that they are not playing this upcoming Sunday, but it does make it less likely they will be out there if they are not spotted at practice on the Thursday portion of the week. And on the overall thoughts with the New York Jets, I think that they're packing it in for this season. They have not had a good year. They're 4-12. They're fighting to be one of the top teams in the NFL draft. There's rumors of them moving on from Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams in the offseason as well. It's a messy situation in the Meadowlands. And when you think back to last week after the Jets got 40 hung on them by Josh Allen and the Bills, Sauce Gardner said that some guys might be checked out, said that this year's Jets team was more talented than last year's Jets team, and also laid the quote, "We can't be playing as a team. We're probably just playing as individuals." And when you really think about the Jets season and everything that has transpired over the last 365 days in the Meadowlands, it's an absolute train wreck, man. And I don't care that Tua Tagovailoa is out. The Jets are a really bad ball club. Yes, Miami's dealing with some injuries themselves, but it's an absolute disaster in New York. I expect a win this Sunday. I expect the Dolphins to be 9-8, and we'll ultimately have to see if Carson Wentz can get the job done for Miami and send them into the postseason. More to talk about here in just a second, but we are sponsored by Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports platform. It's playoff time, and it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 2 correct entries. All you do is pick more or less. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that could lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. It's the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your opinions into real money all season long on PrizePicks. And I have a couple entries here for the final week of the football season. More than Michael Penix, 210.5 passing yards, and more than Geno Smith, 255.5 passing yards. You can play any way you want. You can cross sports, basketball, hockey, football, college football. It does not matter. You can play your way with PrizePicks, which is why it's the #1 daily fantasy sports platform in North America. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. That link will be in the description and comments of today's video. Let's get over to the Miami Dolphins practice that occurred today because these 3 players were not seen at practice. They were also DNPs on Wednesday's injury report, putting their status for Sunday's game against New York in serious jeopardy. Teron Armstead dealing with that knee injury, constantly in and out of the lineup. He is probably not going to go this week. And then you also have Anthony Walker Jr., who missed last week, but that's not that concerning because Tyrell Dodson stepped in and won AFC Defensive Player of the Week. So I'm not worried about that. I've actually would rather see Dodson start at linebacker alongside Jordan Brooks, even if Anthony Walker Jr. was healthy. Jordan Poyer's a name to monitor. If he doesn't go, we'll maybe get to see some Patrick McMorris, the 6th-round rookie out of Cal, start opposite of Javon Holland, or maybe we'd see Elijah Campbell. But I want to focus in on Teron Armstead because with him being a DNP the last 2 practices and not finishing the game this past week against the Browns, you're probably looking at Patrick Paul starting at left tackle, which is not good because Kendall Lamb, who was placed on IR earlier in this week, and he's out for the year, means that Jackson Carman is likely and might be the right tackle for the Miami Dolphins this upcoming Sunday. Paul might have been the right tackle if Armstead would go, but with Teron not looking like he's playing, Jackson Carman might be that right tackle because Paul has to slide over to the left tackle spot. And this would not be the first time that we saw those two bookend this Miami Dolphins offensive line. They did it in Week 15 against the Houston Texans. And boy, oh boy, was Jackson Carman absolutely atrocious. This was his numbers, according to PFF, in that game against Houston. Just an abysmal ratings across the board, no matter if it's pass blocking, no matter if it's run blocking. He allowed a 1 sack, 3 pressures, was flagged twice. He was an absolute liability for the Miami Dolphins at that right tackle spot. I know they were going against Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter, maybe the best duo on the edge this season, but it was not suitable of an NFL offensive lineman. And it posed this question that was asked to offensive coordinator Frank Smith today. Could Isaiah Wynn, who has been splitting time with Liam Eichenberg over the past 2 weeks at right guard, one of those two, could they move to right tackle instead of Jackson Carman? Well, Frank Smith said they would have to consider all variables when deciding who is going to play on the offensive line. And I got to be honest, I think I like the idea of maybe going with one of them over Jackson Carman. Both Eichenberg and Isaiah Wynn have played right tackle in the past. Wynn's played about 340 snaps there in their career. Eichenberg's played 160. Remember, Jackson Carman, when he played right tackle against Houston, that was the first time he's ever done that in his NFL career. So 3 guys that have not got a lot of experience over there. But before I give you my thoughts, who should play right tackle for the Miami Dolphins this Sunday against the New York Jets? It's still a decent edge group in New York. Hassan Reddick, Will McDonald. It's still a group that you can't take lightly, so you're going to have a lineman out there that you can trust at right tackle, opposite of Patrick Paul. Let me know which one you would want to play. I would be typing my IWs. I actually lean Isaiah Wynn, and I know this is really only his 3rd game back since being activated from the PUP list, but he might be the best option for Miami at right tackle. He split time with Liam Eichenberg at right guard, but to me, if you want the best offensive line out there, I think you got to go Paul at left tackle, assuming Armstead doesn't play, Robert Jones at left guard, Aaron Brewer at center, Eichenberg at right guard because he's done it just more consistently all season long, and then Isaiah Wynn at right tackle. You simply cannot put Jackson Carman out there. You saw his lone numbers as a right tackle in the professional sports league that we are watching. It was atrocious. Isaiah Wynn did it for 340 snaps back when he was a member of the New England Patriots. It was not good. If you look at his numbers on PFF, they are not great whatsoever, but they are still better than what Jackson Carman did. I would trust the veteran presence of Isaiah Wynn at right tackle a lot more than Jackson Carman. All right, last piece of news on the Miami Dolphins. Pro Bowl rosters were announced earlier today. The Miami Dolphins, one of 4 teams to have 0 players selected to the 2025 Pro Bowl. I know a lot of fans will be up in arms about no Dolphins being added to the Pro Bowl roster. If I'm going to be honest, this means absolutely nothing to me. I think the Pro Bowl is the worst professional all-star game there is. I think the hot NHL, MLB, and NBA all do it way better than the NFL. The NFL is way more name value. Like, let's be honest. I looked around the league here. Zach Sealer should have been a Pro Bowler. Christian Gonzalez should have been a Pro Bowler. You see Jerry Jeudy get selected to the Pro Bowl, and he was good, but like 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns. Zay Flowers barely cracked 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns. Like, he's a Pro Bowler. Listen, I don't think you should get worked up because of it. Sure, you could see it as disrespectful for guys like Zach Sealer, who deserve to be in the Pro Bowl, but it's not the biggest deal in my opinion, and I don't really get worked up about it because I just know it's a shitty product. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Dolphins Today. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you have notifications turned on because we're still going to be dropping content over the next couple of days before Week 18. And we'll be live on Sunday breaking down both the Chiefs-Broncos game as well as the Dolphins-Jets game. So subscribe and join us on Sunday to see if the Dolphins make the 2025 NFL playoffs.